Okay, well, it's time to do another 10 years late Army book review. This time it's ogres. Basically, I went through all the comments and see what people requested most. It was pretty even amongst three different books. So I grabbed the first one on the pile. It's ogres. Ogre Kingdoms. All right, so this is a kind of a controversial 8th edition book. There are other books with similar issues, but you know what? It's what's the opposite of a fan favorite? This is a one of the most commonly hated books. Now there are other books we can discuss why certain other books can be hated. I mean, it's this book is clearly people been playing a long time and not as hated as the 7th edition Demons book. That book would, but this one has some issues. Well, Ogre Kingdoms Army of Monstrous Infantry. You know what? At this point, I need to point out some caveats before I get into the actual review of the book. So there's a few things that I'm going to talk about that I gotta point out that the way I use language, the way I use certain words. I'm gonna review this book from the competitive standpoint, and competitive means different things to different people. So what I mean is, I'm not talking about tournament play. That's a whole separate level. There are a few tournament lists that can run end runs around this entire book. There are a few tournament lists that can just tell me this. I'm not talking about just goofy two guys having fun narrative type play, or just making goofy lists. We're talking about two guys or two people trying to play a game of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and they're both trying to win. They're both trying to take legal lists, but like optimal stuff, most efficiency for their points, not a theme. But talking competitive, not tournament. So that's how I define things. I know that means different things to different people. So there's that, and then one more thing I want to talk about is there are back in the day when the game was still regularly played by, I think it is still regularly played, but back in the day when it's still sanctioned tournaments, there was many different comp systems, basically extra rules added to the game, restrictions to army books and core rules, just to balance this game. Because Warhammer Fantasy, not even close, is one of the worst balanced, kind of. But so forget all those comp systems because depending on what comp system you're going to play, and there are a number of really good ones that really do a really good job of fixing some of the issues. Depending on what comp you play, it changes the things I'm going to say. So when I'm reviewing this book under the 8th edition rule set, maybe I should just make a small clip for that and insert that all the videos moving forward. That being said, okay, where was I? Ogre Kingdoms back in 7th edition, terrible. Couldn't really play the game. 8th edition, all the core rules all the rules, all the changes to the rules, the core rules. Many of them greatly benefit this. And this book can play up. It struggles to play. How do I put this? I was about to say it struggles to play down, which isn't true. It can absolutely play down. This is one of those more difficult books to do adequately. I feel like this book can be a challenge for Ogre Kingdoms player because it can play way up here, and then if you start to tone yourself down a little bit, it drops too fast. It doesn't have a you typically you want to find a sweet spot, which can be more difficult, and the sweet spot for too strong, too weak varies by the group playing, and it varies by armies you're playing. It has a bunch of variances, but I find this book is one of the hardest to do. It's either your list is redonkulous or almost unplayable, and it's hard to get that sweet spot of okay, this is a good list. I'm gonna give my opponent a nice challenge, let them play as well. It doesn't do that well. I find this is difficult. This is almost unfortunate for Ogre Kingdom players, in my opinion. Now, if there are very experienced Ogre Kingdoms players who want to change anything or add anything, I'm saying that can improve that, because this is one of the armies in 8th edition where you can buy, I think, almost everything. I'll tell you go through the war or the unit check. I think almost everything can be purchased right now and played. You make your own. And if you want to play both System Sigmar and Fantasy, 40 mil round bases work very well with the round trades. But that's a whole separate thing. Okay, so let's talk about Army Special Rules first, and then we'll start talking about all the things. But we have Ogre Charge, basically, they have impact attacks. They add the rank bonus to the strength of their impact attacks. Kind of cool. And if you roll a 10 or more on your charge, you don't have to move 10, you gotta roll 10 or more. It's D3 impact attacks per model instead of 1. Really cool ability, and Ogre Charge is fun to see. We have Iron Fists. These are a piece of equipment. It's like an additional hand weapon type deal, right? No, sorry, it's a shield. Yeah, so Iron Fist works exactly the same way as a shield. Ogres using Iron Fist benefit from bonus to its armor save, and it's eligible like parry save described in. There's another line here that's important because we're talking about this. As such, an ogre using Iron Fist benefits from all the rules for shields. It benefits from all of the rules for shields. That's important, including parry save, even if he's mounted. Okay, we have Lookout Nobblers. Basically, how Lookout Star works in 8th edition is you need to have 5 rank and file models, not including a champion, to get Lookout Star in a character. A Lookout Nobbler, I think it's like a 5-point upgrade, but we'll look at that in a minute. You only need 3 models, which makes sense. These are monsters. You have a Chain Trap, is a 12-inch range, strength 6 killing blow, range attack. Oh, it's like a little bear trap. And we have the Harpoon Launcher. It is a shorter range bolt thrower. It's mover fire, multiple wounds D3, but it has a special role when it's mounted on, I think, a Thunder Tusk or a Stone Horn. It's not mover fire. Makes sense. We have Ogre Pistols. I remember, like, I'm trying to read these, like, why are they labeled Ogre Pistols? These are just pistols out of the rule book. Forgot. Ogres actually use handguns, like rifles, as their pistols. Their pistols are just 24-inch range. I just didn't look at the range. 24-inch range pistols, quick to fire, armor piercing, basic stuff. And then abrasive pistols, same thing. It's abrasive pistols with 24. That's cool also. Okay, let's start talking about the units, and we'll get into the nuances of this book. We're gonna start off with the Tyrant. This guy is debated on back and forth whether you need him because his point cost, and I gotta go flipping back and forth throughout this book. These things aren't the best laid out things. Oh man, this book is pretty. Point cost for an Ogre Tyrant is going to be 210 points before you purchase any upgrades. We have big names, which are like Vampire Bloodlines or just extra upgrades. Little bonus special rules you can purchase for your model. And magic weapons, obviously. You're starting on a 210 points base. The big names and magic items come at the same allotment, so 100 points for either. Pistols, upgrade later to heavy armor, stuff like that. But it's an ogre, so you have fear, you have ogre charge, and you have some beefy stats. Weapons movement 6 is your base across the board. Your weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 4, strength and toughness 5, 5 wounds, initiative 4, 5 attacks, and leadership 9. Now, it's 210 points. Before we got into any more detail, I want to slide it over to the Bruiser, who is the hero version, who has very similar stats. I think you're losing 1 weapon skill. You're losing 1 wound, 1 initiative, and 1 attack, and 1 leadership. But you're maintaining 4 strength 5 attacks base, and toughness 5, and he's weapon skill 5. Like, these are solid stats on a Bruiser. The Bruiser is 105 points. He's half the point cost. Now, the Bruiser is the guy you can buy your BSB. Always buy a BSB. So, you double the point cost, you have basically better weapon skill, slightly better initiative, and the initiative too much. Like 1 better weapon skill and 1 better attack, and he's so expensive. But the weakness of this army is for sure going to be in ship. I think a Bruiser is a good option to lead your army, or a Slaughtermaster, which we'll talk in a minute, so long as you purchase the Banner of Discipline and get +1 leadership. I don't want to play with leadership 8 general. I've done that numerous times with Warriors of Chaos. You can kind of get away with it. Don't want to risk it with ogres. You want to? I think a Bruiser as your leader, your general, is absolutely fine, so long as you buy the Banner of +1 leadership, giving him leadership 9. You can still do the same thing on the Tyrant and give him leadership 10. And get that nice leadership 10 bubble. But I'll point out, like, Tyrant, he is good, and you can make some with almost magic item stuff. You can make a beefy character, but like paying 320 points for a leader, whew, it can get expensive real fast. So there are cheaper ways of getting your leadership bubble with the Bruiser, who still has better stats than most other Lord level characters from the other races. So there you go, Bruisers and Tyrants. Tyrants, you can make them beefy. Bruisers are half of the point, 105 points compared to 200. So, you know, think Bruisers, think Bruisers. Slaughter Masters and Butchers, these guys are the chefs and wizards of the army. They want to butcher up sorry, I was reading. Butcher up their enemies, throw them in the pot, cook them up. Okay, we have for a Slaughter Master, the Lord level 1, weapon skill 4, strength 4, toughness 5, 5 wounds, initiative 3, 4 attacks, 8. Another decent option to be your general, as long as you have the, in my opinion, discipline. The Butcher is a hero level version. You get Bliss skill 2, weapon skill 4, 1 less wound, you get 4 wounds, 1 less initiative, 2 initiative, 1 less attacks, 3 attacks, 1 less initiative. But you solid stats here. These guys are immune to poison. Yeah, oh, okay, well. Poison in 8th edition is you roll 6 to hit, it automatically wounds. It doesn't work against these guys. You must always roll to wound them. They eat too much garbage. Okay, so Butchers and Slaughter Masters are wizards that use the lore of the Great Maw. I really love the lore of the Great Maw. It's one of the last things I'll talk about in this book. Lore of Heavens, not so great in 8th, not so great for ogres, but not useless. Lore of Beasts, good in 8th, not the best for ogres, but one of my favorite spells. Like, you could use it. Lore of Death, just a solid, crazy good lore. However, if you field any Butcher Slaughter Masters, your army must have, one of them must have the lore of the Great. You most commonly only have one Slaughter Master with the lore of the Great. Moving down the line, we got Fire Bellies. Fire Bellies are another type of wizard, only go to level 2, I believe. Basically, same stats as the Butcher. They have flaming attacks. Oh, everything is army. Well, every ogre causes. Firebelly has a 4 ward save against any attacks with a flaming attack special rule. Makes sense. And he has a strength 4, a breath weapon with a flaming attack special rule. Awesome. How many points is the Firebelly? Actually, I forgot to mention the Slaughter Master points, which are probably important. Slaughter Master is 250. The Butcher is 100, so you're paying more than double, but 250 points. You're going to pay 350 Slaughter Master. I think you. Well, with it on. In competitive play, you don't want to play with a level 4. The Firebelly, however, 120 points, paying 35 points. A standard upgrade, 35 points for the level 2. And he used the Lore of Fire. Lore of Fire isn't bad. I actually love Lore of Fire. And the model's fantastic. But just with the rule set alone. Cool model, not that interesting. But Hunters, this old Hunter model was like the best ogre model ever. There's a new Shadespire? A Shadespire thing. The Age of Sigmar skirmish game. Where you buy a box with this bag and it comes 4 or 5 models and you play a bunch of cards, and I think it's called Shadespire. Underworlds. Underworlds. There's one of the ogre, like, it was a kit that basically you could models in there. It's a model. So Hunter is a weapon skill 5, strength toughness 5, 4 wounds, 3 initiative, 4 attacks, leadership 9. But Hunters has a loner special rule. Hunters cannot join units except for saber-tooths, those little cats you buy later on. And it can never be the general of an ogre army. You can get a throwing spear, which is range 12, strength 6, quick to fire. You can upgrade to a blood vulture or a strength 4, quick to fire attack. A hunter. I feel like there's missing rules here because it doesn't say there. Maybe it adds more rules. Ogres. 130 points. Interesting. I could have swore this guy had like scout or something. Okay. Interesting. We'll see if any other combos pop up with big names or whatnot. Because, as I just said, interesting, I don't find him that interesting. Light armor and hand weapon. You can buy a harpoon launcher, but that's move or fire. It can mount a stone horn. So there's a hero that can mount a stone horn. Not terrible. Saber-tooths packs. We're going to talk about next. These are giant saber-tooth tigers. Morphing time. Movement 8, weapon skill 4, strength toughness 4, 2 wounds, initiative 4, 3 attacks, leadership 4. If a hunter joins the unit of saber-tooths, he gains a swift stride special rule as long as he remains with the unit. In addition, hunter deploys as part of the saber-tooths pack. Both he and the pack have the vanguard special rule. There it is. So as long as he's with the saber-tooths, they're going to vanguard. Now we have some use out of them. Also, one of the greatest miniatures in all Games Workshop. Actually, I love the Ogre Hunter model. Their Master's Voice. Saber-tooths packs cannot be joined by characters other than hunters. Neither saber-tooths packs nor any characters that join them can use the general's inspiring presence or battle standard bearers hold your line. Cool. That's rough. However, these cats, which I believe are going to be like special. These cats are 21 points per model with movement 8, 2 wounds, toughness 4. They are one of the most efficient redirectors in the game. I would always buy 2 or 3 of these. They're special, 3 of them, running on their own. Now, if they ever flee, they're probably not going to rally with leadership 4 and cannot use the general's leadership. But for 21 points a model, super efficient redirectors. I think from the competitive trying to win, bring 3 single saber-tooth every game. You're going to get a lot of value out of that. 21 points. Okay, let's talk about the ogres. The ogres. The main troop choice, the core troop of the army. Ogres, I mean, we all know their stats, but we'll go over a basic stat of an ogre. It's the basic Monstrous infantry stat. Movement 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 2. Who cares about ballistic? Strength and toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 2, 3 attacks, only leadership 7. Fear and ogre charge, obviously Monstrous infantry. 30 points per model. That's probably the biggest flaw in. But I mean, in case you didn't immediately understand, that they're far too cheap for what they do. 30 points. So hand weapon, light armor. You can upgrade full command type stuff, lookout nobbler, and you can take additional hand weapons for 1 point per model. Or you can take Iron Fist for 2 points per model. So giving them that 5-up armor save and a parry save for 2 points per model. I'm not sure. I'd probably rather take additional hand weapons, but whatever. I mean, a big horde of these guys is gonna point for point because of the way supporting attacks work, and especially horde with Monstrous infantry. They get too many attacks for their frontage. They get more efficiency out of their frontage than damn near every other faction. Monstrous infantry, that point cost, has been proven to be far too effective and powerful. That being said, they're not even close to like you may play against ogres 30 times and never even see the basic ogres. Because we got Iron Guts, which are also core. The next page. Yeah. Okay, so Iron Guts, I believe they're probably exactly the same. They're not the exact same stat. Iron Guts are +1 leadership. Otherwise, the exact same stats. Now you're gonna pay. Oh, they also come with heavy armor. So you're gonna pay 43 points for an Iron Gut. You're paying 13 points more for an Iron Gut over a ogre, regular ogre, and you're gaining heavy armor and leadership 8. You might be thinking, well, that seems like not worth it. I mean, leadership 8's nice, but I mean, you're probably gonna have a character nearby You're paying 13 points a model to have heavy armor. Not great. Wait a minute, Iron Guts, they come with great weapons. They pay for the great weapons. So 13 points a model for heavy armor and great weapons. Yeah, that seems about standard. It'd be about 6 points per per monster's infantry. 6 points for the heavy armor, 6 points for the great weapon. And you're only paying like 1 point for the leadership increase, which you don't really care about. So great weapons and heavy armor. So you have that 5-up save, which is pretty average, honestly, for a core unit, fighting unit. 5-up saves is pretty typical. But now you're having English is not my first language apparently. 3 strength 6 attacks per base, with boarding attacks being a full 3. At only 43, you're still, in comparison to most other, I think in comparison to every other monstrous infantry in the game, they're cheaper than everything else, right? Can't remember the point cost of the ogres in Warriors of Chaos. But either way, super efficient, like a horde of Iron Guts, expensive. But it's going to just dominate the game. Typically, 6 wide by 3 Iron Guts with a couple of characters. Super, super good. And also, to back up to Ogres for 1 second, I've seen plenty of 3 wide Ogres with characters up front and just bodies in the back, dirt cheap. Just that the characters do all the work. Yeah, Iron Guts they're super efficient attacks. Well, Ogres and Iron Guts, super efficient amount of attacks for their point. Yeah, it's very difficult to fight them head on. And with their movement 6, basically the Ogre tactic is throw your points in 1 unit and run it forward. You don't even know how to play Warhammer Fantasy Battles to play Ogre. Now, things obviously, like I said in the beginning, we're not talking about tournament play. Things change. Certain lists will, but like your basic game, your basic all-comer game, most armies just don't want to even deal with ogres because you pretty much have 1 unit with all your points in it, and the general tactic to fight ogres, more like end of the stuff. But you either have to kill the 1 big unit and ignore everything else, or you avoid the 1 big unit and kill everything else, and hopefully you kill enough points by attacking everything else. You haven't lost that much, and that's how you're winning. You basically go their Death Star, or they're not. So that's the thing I said earlier, where ogres, if an ogre Death Star is very, very, very strong, and there are a couple of ways of making them. My favorite way is the iron. The ogre Death Star is very, very strong. If you don't ogre Death Star, probably just gonna lose the game. Like it goes from too weak to too strong. No middle ground. Now, one more thing we're gonna talk about is nobblers. There are 2.5 points per model. Movement 4, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 3, strength 2, toughness 3, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, leadership 5. You can spam these guys. They're dirt cheap and really control the table. Basically, if you bring enough nobblers, you control the table to the point where big ogre Death Star is gonna go where he wants to. So a big ogre Death Star and a whole bunch of small nobbler units, or even big nobblers. You can do nobblers any way you want. They're gonna do. They allow you to control the table by like throwing worthless bodies. They have a special rule called Beneath Contempt. I believe, remember correctly, the ogres don't care when nobblers run away. Yeah, we don't care when nobblers die. Oh yeah, you upgraded to nobbler trappers. For 25 points, you can upgrade the nobbler trappers, and if you charge them, the models take damage. I would never do that. Keep them dirt cheap, and let them funnel the enemy into your ogre's charge. Alright, we got Lead Belchers, a solid unit. I actually kind of like these guys, but hate fighting against them, but really like them. These are ogres that are carrying around cannons and firing. They're throwing a bunch of silverware and garbage inside of them and firing like grape shots. So, typical ogre stats. But their Lead Belcher gun is 24-inch range, strength 4, armor piercing, multiple shots, D6, and slow to fire. Slow to fire just means you can't overwatch it. Stand and shoot with it. But love the models. In addition, when rolling to hit with Lead Belcher's gun, ignore the hit modifiers for moving and shooting and multiple shot. Why? You're 24-inch range. They can move, ignore the range for moving, and multiple shot. So basically, ballistic skill 3 means you hit on 4. If they're over half range, you're hitting. If they're within half range, you're hitting on 4s. D6 shots, strength for armor piercing per model. It's some of the best. I mean, it's not. What do you call it? Oh, I forgot what they're called. Skaven Storm Fiends. Not Storm Fiends. They're not Storm Fiends. But they're really good, solid, efficient shooting. Lead Belchers are 43 points per model, but I mean, 3 wounds apiece, toughness 4, and light armor. And they're no slouches in combat. Fear, Ogre Charge, 3 attacks, strength 4 each. Their only weakness is leadership 7, and that's just average leadership. They're so efficient for 43 points. I would always have one or what's next? Man-eaters. Man, I don't know enough about these guys. I feel like I'd like to see more man-eaters. Man-eaters are just ogres that have traveled the world and picked up abilities from different. Some of the greatest ogre models. I like most of the ogres. They have a rule called Been There, Done That. Oh, so basically, hold on. They're basically butcher stats, kind of. No, not really. So they're weapon skill 4, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3 initiative, 4 attacks per model, leadership 8. How many points are man-eaters? Get this in our head. 50 points per man-eater. Okay, so we have Been There, Done That. When selecting a unit of man-eaters, you must note down on your roster 2 different special rules from the following list. The rules you choose must represent traits. You need to pick 2 special rules for your man-eater unit, which are immune psychology, poison attacks, solid choice, scout, solid choice, sniper, solid choice, strider, can be, stubborn, solid choice, swift stride, can be, and vanguard, solid choice. You make them fighty and get up there, and whatever, swift stride. I think the most common was scout and sniper, if I remember correctly, because you can take on them. Yeah, brace of pistols. Get 2 shots per guy with ballistic skill 4 with scout and sniper and poison attacks. Just go off and kill characters. But you also have the Motley Crew special rule. You must remove casualties from the rear rank, whatever. You cannot apply individual wounds. They're like a unit of characters, but still follow all the rules for characters. Yeah, you have them all armed differently if you. But I mean, I don't think there's any value to doing that. You pretty much want them all armed, whatever job you're trying to get. But I mean, I guess you can try around having like 3 with the brace of, like, I don't know, 3 shooters and a couple of fight. I don't know. Now I would keep them all equipped this. Mornfang Cav. Okay, we got Monstrous cavalry. So they're ridden by ogres, but they're riding on top of Mornfang. Mornfang, or I don't know what to call them. Saber-tooth rhinoceroses. I don't know what to call them. Big hairy rhino cat thing. Mornfang has movement 8, strength 5, toughness 4, whatever. 3 wounds, initiative 2, 4 attacks, and leadership 5. So this mount has 4 strength 5 attacks, and they move 8 inches. They do impact attacks D3. A rider on top of Mornfang receives an additional +2 to their armor save instead of the +1. They're so thick-skinned, the count is basically barding. Mornfang Cav are 60 points per model. And you can become with light armor, but I'm pretty sure, where are we here? You can take Iron Fist. And or great weapons. So wait, light armor, and that's a 6 up save. The Mornfang 4 up save. The Iron Fist gives them a 3 up save. That's the best they can do. Oh, no, they can also upgrade heavy armor. You can get 2 up armor save on toughness 4, 3 wounds per model. Just a metric butt ton of attacks. For 60 points. I think I'd rather have the 2 up save than the great weapon. But maybe not. I don't know. I actually don't know what I recommend there. I tried both. These are one of the units that were I shouldn't talk about comp. Okay, we got, oh, and I know there's some good magic items that will interact well with a lot of the stuff we already talked about. We'll get to that. We have the Gorger next. This is a The ogre that ate too much and it went a little crazy. 90 points for strength, toughness 5, 4 wounds, initiative 2, 4 attacks, leadership 8. Let's see those rules. Oh, that's a Yeti. Oh, here we go. Your wards are monsters, infantry, ambushers, fear, frenzy, killing blow, unbreakable. Real good. Excuse me, he was cheaper. Is the unbreakable. And toughness 5 he can really hold. But I mean, he can just die from just a handful of sixes to. I think he's in a rough spot because I don't want to pay 90 points for what he does. But like any cheaper, and like he's an auto include, right? Like if he was 50 points, I'm gonna bring 3 every game. If he was 60, I think I would still bring 3 every game. 75? 75 I might use him more often. 90 just seems a bit, I know it doesn't seem that much of a difference, but 90 seems just a bit much. But, you know, like Frenzy, he's gonna have to charge, he has leadership 8 so he can restrain himself, but he has the ambusher special rule, which is pretty nice. Killing blow is nice, and unbreakable is always nice. Now he has no save, but he is toughness 5. But yeah, it's a little expensive. Yetis. Yetis are, how many points is a Yeti? Come on, Yeti. Yetis are 44 points per model, and they are obviously monsters infantry, but they have movement 7, so they're slightly faster. Models are ugly, disgusting, and I hate them. Their only weapon skill 3, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 4, 3 attacks. They are flammable because they's cold, and they have swift stride. Swift stride and movement 7, solid. They have the aura of frost. Enemies in base contact with one or more Yetis suffer a -1 penalty to the weapon skill. In addition, all the Yetis' close combat attacks are magical. That's not terrible. That's it, eh? Okay, so they're fast. They're fast. They're fast ogres, basically. That are flammable, which I don't like that. But hitting most things in the game on 3 is just going to lower their weapon skill, because most things in the game are weapon skill 3. A bare minimum, weapon skill 4 only hits them on 4s. If you weapon skill 3, they're hitting you on 3s. But if you're taking these guys, you're taking them for movement 7, swift. Don't like that flammable though. What are you gonna do for 44 points per model and the special slot? I just say I don't. Their only interest to me is the speed. Alright, what's next? Ooh, that's all of the special. We're on to rare. We're moving along quite well in this video. The Noblar Scrap Launcher. It is a war machine being dragged by a big Mournfang type. Wait, is it a Mournfang? No, it's a Rhinox. The bigger monster thing. So we have a war machine that's pulled by a monster with 2 strength 5 attacks. Sorry, 3 strength 5 attacks with initiative 2. The whole contraption itself is got 5 wounds and toughness 5. Fear large target counts as a chariot, so we get some impact attacks with a 4-up armor save. The scrap launcher is a catapult that is range minimum 12 to 248. It's got strength 3-3. So no matter where the template hits you, it's strength 3. It can fire and move. It has the killing blow special rule. Not terrible. How many points is this thing? 130? Not bad. Oh, but it's rare. Okay, it's rare. So it's fighting for its point. It's rare. Its points are pretty good, but it's fighting for rare. It has its own misfire chart. I'm not gonna have to go over that. Okay, so it's a stone thrower that doesn't. It's a stone thrower that you only want to target infantry with. Small template. It's only strength 3. It doesn't do d6 wounds, but it does. It is killing blow. It's throwing a handful of scrap at you, random pieces of metal. I'm not seeing it. Sorry, I can't. Without even looking at the rest of the rare choices, I don't want to pay 130 points for it. Next we got the Iron Blaster. This thing I know you want to use. It is 170 points. It is just a big old cannon pulled by a Rhinox, so it's a chariot. It has a, I think, 4-up save. It's toughness 6. It's got 5 wounds. The mount has 3 strength 5 attacks. And it's a chariot that's a cannon. So you get a cannon that can hide behind terrain, can't get cannon, like hide behind a rock. Your opponent's cannons can't kill you turn one. You drive out and fire your cannon. But it gets better. Okay, so cannon's only range 36. It's strength 10, multiple wounds d6. If it fires grape shot, it's strength 10. It can move and fire. It has the rule of volley of cannonballs. Apparently, there's a handful of cannonballs in there. When rolling to determine the bounce distance for cannon of the Sky Titans, that's the cannon. Roll the artillery dice twice and use the highest roll. The cannonball will fail to bounce only if both dice roll a misfire. So it is always going to bounce. Pretty much. Yeah, like 1 in 32 chance, 136 chance of it not bouncing. So yeah, 170 points. I just want to bring 2 every game. Cannons are king. And we have a cannon chariot. What's next? I think we have Stonehorns next. Oh no, giants. Okay, let's talk about giants real quick. Giants, 200 points per model. It's rare. Movement 6, strength 6, toughness 5, 6 wounds, special attacks. Stubborn, terror, leadership 10, fall over, all that kind of stuff. Typical giant things. Giants are real good if your opponent brings monsters. Giants love fighting other monsters because they roll on a special chart. See how they attack. I'm gonna pull up that chart for you. Nope, no, these are all named characters. Where are you, Giant? Giants. Okay, here we go. So if you're attacking a big thing, you can you roll basically a d3 and a 1 yellow ball. You just immediately win combat by 2. If you roll 2 to 4, you thump him with a club. He's an initiative test with 2 to 6 wounds. No, if he's loud. Monsters typically don't have high initiative. And Edbutt. Edbutt's a single model in front of him. 1 move with no armor is allowed. If the victim is not slain but has not attacked, he just doesn't attack. I love fighting giants against other monsters. If you fighting against like man-sized or smaller things, it's a different chart altogether. Giants don't really work in 8. Also, giants don't fill a niche, or sorry, don't fill a role the ogres need filled. Giants just don't. They look really cool in a theme list. I would bring them, but they don't do anything for your army. If you need to kill other monsters, you got cannons. You've got good cannons too. But I don't know. I've always loved the giants. Okay, we have a couple of monsters now that can also be mounted by characters, but we're going to talk about the Stonehorn first. The Stonehorn is 250 points in the rare slot. Movement 7, weapon skill 3, strength 6, toughness 6, 6 wounds. Solid right there. Initiative 2, 5 attacks and leadership 5, but it's ridden by ogres because even the rare ones have guys riding with leadership 7. It comes with a chain trap. Then you can upgrade the chain trap to harpoon launcher for no additional cost. It has natural armor 4+. Most monsters don't do that, but they do. Okay. A lot of special rules. So they do the Beast Rider special rule. Unless taken as a mount for a hunter, a Stonehorn and his ogre riders have its own characteristics, treated as a single model. We saw this happen a lot in End Times, but you don't attack the riders separately of the character. All hits in the mall resolve in the Stonehorn's toughness. Basic stuff. And the Stonehorn's leadership never used. Yeah, basic Beast Rider rules. Okay, we have Earth Shattering Charge. If the Stonehorn makes a successful charge, it inflicts 3d3 impact hits. Remember, strength 6. Instead of making its normal close combat attacks. In addition, when calculating the charge range, the 2 highest dice score total of 10 or more. Oh, because it did Ogre Charge? I think nowhere does it says he's ogre charge. Well, I think they mean they give him ogre charge because it says when calculating a charge range, the 2 highest dice. Oh, he's Swift Stride. Does he have Swift Stride? Oh, it didn't have Swift Stride. Why does it say that? Okay, either way, the 2 highest dice score a total of 10 or more. Then add 1. Oh, so then 1 is added to each die roll for a total of D3 plus 3 impact attacks. This doesn't prevent the Stonehorn from using Thunderstomp later in the same turn. The crew attack normally. So yeah, D3 impact attacks, maybe D3 plus 3. You roll high in your charge. D6 stomp attacks, these are all strength 6. Plus the monster's 5 strength 6 attack. 250 points. Solid. Solid. It has the Stone Skeleton special rule. If an attack with the multiple wound special rule successfully wounds a Stonehorn, have the number of wounds inflicted. Why has Josh been not using more Stonehorns? Cannons can't even in any way one-shot him. Even if you roll 6 wounds on it with a cannon, you're only going to do 3 against this thing. 250 points. That's some of the most efficient 250 points I've ever seen. That's probably one of the more efficient. Is this the best monster in the game now? Outside of end times? Interesting. I'm giving the Stonehorn 2 big thumbs up. Alright, let's talk about the Thunder Tusk. He's also 250 points. 1 rider has a chain chop, 1 rider has a harpoon launcher. Only 5 of armor. His stats look. He's got 1 less attack than the Stonehorn. And 1 less move. There's different special rules. Let's talk about his special. What do we got here? Beast Rider, blah blah blah. Numbing Chill. Every model within 6 of the Thunder Tusk has the Always Strikes Last special rule. All of a sudden, your measly leader initiative 2-3 doesn't sound bad at all. If he's handing out Always Strikes Last. Smooth Ride. The Thunder Tusk ignores the hit modifier for moving and shooting. And he has a frost sphere. Sorry. Sphere of Frost Wreathed Ice. He spits ice at you. He's a stone thrower with a minimum range of 6 to 24, which only strength 3, 6 under the hole, and D3. Unlike all of this, he's the shooting monster. I'd rather have 2 Stonehorns. So rare is a rough one. So Iron Blaster's amazing. Stonehorn seems amazing. But in a typical 2,000 point game, you're only getting 2 of these things. You want two Iron Blasters, 2 cannons, 2 Stonehorns, 1 of each. I don't think you have a bad choice between those combos. Man, I dig that Stonehorn. Okay, well, those are all of the only 250 points. Those are all the things. Let's talk about magic items, big names, and the Great Maw. Lore of the Great Maw. I'll talk about that one first. Okay. We got Blood Gruel for the lore attribute. The lore of the Great Maw. Blah, blah, blah. Roll d6 immediately after resolving the effects of a successfully cast spell from the lore of the Great Maw. On a 2 to 6, the wizard that casts the spell recovers 1 lost wound up to a starting number of wounds. And add +1 to total roll for the dice the next time he attempts to cast a spell dice. On a roll of 1, the wizard suffers strength 6. I think it's a solid lore attribute. Yeah, it's actually a really good lore attribute. He rarely takes a hit. When he does, so they end up healing it next magic phase or even the same magic. Okay, let's talk about the 7 spells that are in the lore of the Great. Remember, one of your wizards has to have them. Spine Marrow is the signature spell. It's cast on a 6+. Augment with a range of 12. The target has a stubborn special rule at the start of the caster's next magic phase. The caster can choose to increase the range to the spell to 24. If he does so, it's casted at 9. It's a solid spell. I just kind of always want that. I mean, you're going to Death Star all your points into 1 unit. Spine Marrow them, and they're going to hold. They're probably going to hold. Dice are still dice, but Spine Marrow is a solid signature spell that you are... Like, if you just had that spell, you would cast it every magic phase. You're never going to have a magic phase where you have no spells. It's a Spine. Okay, the first spell is Bone Crusher. Casting on 8 is a magic missile with a range of 8. 2d6 strength, 2 hits with no armor saves allowed. You increase the range to 36, make the casting value 11. That's a solid spell. The casting on 8 to 11, 8's typical, 11 seems a little low. But, you know, solid spell. You don't always need it, though. If you're playing against a bunch of knights, it's going to kill knights. Bull Gorger, casting on 7+. It is an augment with a range of 12. The target has +1 strength for the caster's next magic phase. The caster can choose to target all friendly units within 12. If he does so, the casting value is 14+. Amazing. 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 All of a sudden, if you want to bring those cheap 30-point ogre bulls or ogres, making them strength 5, that includes their impact attacks. Like, it's so good. And it's a 7 to cast. And you can affect all units within 12. 14 to cast. Toothcracker. Casting on 8 is augment spell with a range of 12. Noticing a theme here? Target has +1 toughness to the caster's next magic phase. You can choose to target all friendly units within 12. The casting value is 16. So good. Toughness 5 in fantasy, because you ogres are toughness 4 across the board. Boom. Toughness 5 on something. Most things in the game are winning them on 6s. Redonkulous. So far, we went through 4 of the 7 spells, and I want all of them. I want all 4 of them all the time. Brain Gobbler is a 9+ to cast. Brain Gobbler is a hex spell with a range of 18. The target must take a panic test. Not that big a deal. Units that are immune to psychology cannot be targeted by the spell. The caster can choose to increase the range to 36, and the casting value becomes 12. If something is out of your opponent's inspiring presence and hold the line or the banner range, the spell can be good. It's a little more situational. But they're certainly you're not often to cast a spell, but I can think of a few situations where this spell is amazing. You have a big monster in your back line, too far from your opponent's general, because maybe he swung all the way around. You just panic him off. I can't say it's a bad spell. I can't. It's a solid spell. It's just that so far everything else is better. But it does have restrictions. I mean, 8th edition has made it harder to make that work unless things are out of range of your opponent's general. Troll Guts is the next spell. It is 12 to cast. It's an augment spell with a range of 12. There's the theme. The target has the regeneration special rule. Regeneration is ignore damage in a 4+. Until the start caster's next magic phase. The caster can choose to target all friendly units within 12. If he does so, the casting value is +. Now, because of regeneration, you got to keep the banner of eternal flame, or flaming attacks will just turn it off. But if you don't have flaming attacks, Troll Guts is a near broken. It's not. Near broken. I gotta be careful about using that word broken too often. I love calling things broken. When I say broken, I mean it's really, really, really good. Not broken. It doesn't break the game. It is really, really, really good. And we got the Maw is the 6th spell. It's casting on a 15+. The Maw is a direct damage spell. Place a small round template anywhere within 18 to the caster. Roll the artillery dice and the scatter dice. Unless a hit is rolled, move the template the distance shown on the artillery dice and blah blah blah. Typical stuff. Misfire is rolled. The opposing player picks the template up and then repositions it anywhere on the battlefield, and then artillery dice scatter. Blah blah. Once the final position of the template is determined, all models under the template must take an initiative test. Models that pass the test suffer a strength 3 hit from the Maw's sharp teeth as they scramble clear. Models that fail the initiative test suffer a strength 7 hit with multiple wounds D6. The Maw then blah blah blah. You can use a large template on making a casting roll 21. I like that spell. It's their big damaging spell. But if I rolled like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 6, or 1, 2, 5, 6, or 2, 3, 5, 6, no matter what I roll, if I want Troll Guts, I want Toothcracker, I want Bull Gorger, and then I want Spine Marrow, the signature spell. I think I would trade the Maw for Spine Marrow over Troll Guts, Bull Gorger. So if I rolled 2, 3, 5, 6, Bull Gorger, +1 strength, Toothcracker, +1 toughness, Troll Guts, regeneration, and the Maw. Well, I want Spine Marrow, or sorry, Spine Marrow. The Maw sounds like a really good spell. I'm gonna swap that one for Spine Marrow, because all those spells buff your big Death Star that's going to do all the work. The Maw just does work on its own, sure, but not as reliably as the Death Star. The Maw is a good spell, and most other lords would love to have it. He just doesn't fit here because it's the brain. If I don't roll Brain Gobbler, and I roll the Maw, I'm gonna swap the Maw for Spine Marrow. If I roll Brain Gobbler and the Maw, I'll swap Brain Gobbler for Spine Marrow. I want Spine Marrow, which is the stubborn. Unless I can find points for the Crown of Command, which is not always easy to do. Okay, so Lore of the Great Maw loves it. Fantastic lore. And it leads into the whole ogres don't have to learn the rules of the game, basically. Or sorry, the finesse of the movement phase. Put all your points in one unit, Death Star, run up the field. Put all your buffs on that unit. Now, I know you're thinking, well, magic will really destroy it. There are ways around. We'll get to that. Big names of the ogres. Okay, so we have the Maw Seeker. It's for Tyrants only for 40 points. The Tyrant with the Maw Seeker name has +1 toughness on his profile, but he also suffers from stupidity. So Leadership 9 stupidity isn't terrible, but it only makes him toughness 6 for 40 points. Wall Crusher for 30 points. Wall Crushers do 1 additional impact hit on successful ogre charge. They ignore the effects of obstacles. They crush through wall. It's 30 points. I don't care. Kin Eater, Tyrant only, 25 points. All friendly units within 6 of the Kin Eater reroll panic tests. Well, no, I mean, I have a BSB for that. Mountain Eater, 25 points. A Mountain Eater will never be wounded by score better than a 3+. Hey, it's transhuman light. For instance, if the Mountain Eater was hit by cannon, normally wounded on 2+, he only ever wounded on 3. So 2s don't wound him. I don't care about that. These are toughness 5. Very rare that's going to come up. Giant Breaker, 25 points for +1 strength in his profile. But may never refuse challenges. And neither he or his unit can ever choose to flee as a charge reaction. I don't like having my options taken away from me for just +1 strength. Death Eater, 20 points. Once per game, nominate one model in base content that has the Death Cheater, but not yet roll to wound. That model must... What? Once per game, nominate one model in base content that has hit the Death Cheater, but not has it roll to wound. That model must reroll all successful 2 wounds that phase. That's actually not bad. This includes all models, mounts, chariots, or other attacks. Okay, that's not terrible. It's very situational. So a model hits you. Before they roll any of their wound, you activate this once per game, and they have to reroll all 2 wound. Keep in mind, you do have solid toughness. The character with the long shredder big name has +1 movement to spell. So 20 points for +1 movement. Maybe that's good for hunters. Beast Killers, hunters only, 20 points. When targeting large targets, shooting or close combat, the Beast Killer gets +1 to his rolls to wound. Not terrible. Brawler Guts for 50 points. Real fail to wound rolls for impact to hit. I don't like any of these big names. They're all kind of boring and useless. Oh, you know what? I can't believe I did this. Early on, when I started talking about the special rules of the army, I said this is important. We'll talk about it in a bit. I forgot to point out a very important thing. We have to go back to Slaughtermaster. Probably a bunch of comments already. Go back and leave your comment if you. Nah, don't want to leave it up. All right, the Slaughtermaster can take an Iron Fist for 3 points, which counts as armor. Which means the Slaughtermaster can buy magic armor. Which means the Slaughtermaster can wear magic heavy armor, anti shield, maybe just the glittering scales. So -1 to hit. Give him Finishers Blades. Weapon skill 10, and then his lore attribute. You have to put it. You put him in the front row of, like, say, three wide ogres. You have to attack the Slaughtermaster. High toughness, hard to hit, kills his own magic phase like crazy. The Iron Fist in the FAQ, the writers actually said, yeah, in the FAQ, you're right. Technically, you can take magic weapon, magic armor because of this. It wasn't our intent, but it is unfortunately rules as written. So that's ogre players. I would never take magic armor because it was clearly not the intent, and they even said so. But rules as written, you are allowed to. You gotta be like, you have to be careful that you're kind of being that guy if you do it, but it's also rules, so you're not being that guy. But like the FAQ clearly said like this wasn't our intent; it was a mistake on our part. So they should have just taken away the Iron Fist. But they could have just errated the Iron Fist to not count as armor. But because the Iron Fist is there, rules as written, you can take magic weapons, magic armor on your Slaughtermaster. But it was very clearly said this was not intended. You're kind of being that guy if you do it. Because we're going to get into Tools of Destruction as we go through all the magic stuff in here now. Thunder Mace for 85 points. You know what? I don't even know what this does, but it's a weapon that costs 85 points, so it's probably going to be garbage. Always strikes last. Requires 2 hands and plus 2 strength. So it's a great weapon. The wielder may choose to exchange all of his attacks. Make a single Thunder Crush attack. Roll the hit against the highest weapon skill and enemies in base contact. If you do, place a small template in base contact. Any infantry, war beast, swarm models that lie in the template, friend or foe, suffer a strength 3 hit. While under the template's whole, takes a strength 9 hit with multiple wounds D3. You can still stun. I would never ever use that. I knew it was gonna be bad. Okay, Siegebreaker Mace, 85 points. Always strikes last. It's another great weapon. Roll to hit against enemies' initiative instead of the weapon skill. No parry saves are allowed. Okay, that's not terrible, but it's 85 points. And it does extra rules against buildings. Not even gonna read it because nobody. Siegebreaker Mace, useless. Not even gonna read it. Not even gonna review it. It's not even worth my time. The Nobbler Thief Stone is a talisman for 45 points. Against the bear magic resistance 2. Alright, already not bad. In addition, roll the following table when a model is deployed to see if the Thief Stone has helped them find any useful items. Note that this may result in the bearer of the Thief Stone having 2 magic talismans. The thief. Okay, so you. Oh, it gives you another magic item. In addition, if the item has been found is being used by another character, a friend or foe, then the other character loses the item. Okay, this is cool. So there's a list after you deploy. There's 6 magic items that this will also be. Make sure you don't have it in your list because if somebody else in your list already had the item, they lose it and now it's on this character. If your opponent has the magic item, they lose it and now it's on this character. So if you roll a 1, you get nothing. If you roll 2, you get the Luck Stone. 3 is Talisman of Protection. 4 is the Other Trickster Shard. 5 is the Ruby Ring of Ruin. And 6 is the Talisman of Preservation. I like it for the lulz. That's funny. Greedy Fist for 40 points. It's a talisman. The bear has +1 strength and a 6 up ward save. If a magic weapon inflicts a wound that is saved by the ward save, its magical properties are consumed by the Greedy Fist. And then it's treated as normal. In addition, enemy wizards lose a wizard level in a random selected spell each time they are hit by an ogre wearing a Greedy Fist. It's funny. I don't know how, like, these are situational items. They're kind of funny. They're points to spend, right? Great Maw is magic armor for 45 points. It's heavy armor. The ogre wearing it has a tear special rule. In addition, recovers 1 lost wound up to starting number for each unsaved wound he causes in a challenge. Too expensive for 45 points. I would never do that. Grut's Sickle for 50 points. At the start of the ogre magic phase. Oh, sorry, it's an arc. The bearer of Grut's Sickle can inflict a single wound of any kind. Single wound on any unit he has joined. If he does so, add +2 to all casting rolls he makes during the magic phase. A wound inflicted by Grut's Sickle is distributed as a shooting attack and may not be saved in any way. Roll 2d6 at the end of each magic phase when Grut's Sickle is used. On a roll of 3 or more, nothing happens, but on a roll of double ones on the roll of double ones, the unit turns. Oh! The unit turns upon the wielder of Grut's Sickle and he's removed from play. Okay, so basically for 50 points. This is an auto-include. This item is an auto-include. For 50 points, your Slaughtermaster does a wound to your ogres. and gets +2. He basically is a level 6 caster for that magic phase. Do it every time. He has to roll 2d6 at the end of the phase. At the end of every magic phase, he rolls 2d6. If he rolls double ones, remove from play. He's just dead. Anything else, nothing happens. That's an auto-include. That's so amazing. But, wait, there's another auto-include. Hellheart, 50 points. There's not many back reps with this item. This item is so OP. This item should be 100 points easy, or removed from the game. Hellheart, one use only. The Hellheart can be used at the start of any one of your opponent's side's magic phases. Immediately after rolling for the Winds of Magic, all enemy wizards within d6 times 5 of their bearer must roll in the miscast table. Special rules and magic items that affect the normal miscast can be used against magic caused by hell. After resolving all their miscasts, add an extra spell dice to the ogre's spell pool for each enemy wizard that was forced to roll in the miscast table. This is a game-winning item. You'll run forward with your ogres. Typically, most armies, damn near every army, well, most armies need to use their spells to deal with ogres. Either deal with them or buff or debuff. The many things you have to deal with the ogres. This completely shuts off an opponent's magic phase. Just completely. It's a game-winning, game-broken item. But we don't do many backups with it, almost never, because this is a true definition of broken. Like, if you bring Hellheart in all your games and your opponents, if your group is like all about that, then go nuts. But like, it's not. It's a feel bad. It's a feel bad. We have Rock Eye for 5 points. It's an enchanted item. At the beginning of each ogre turn, pick one unit in line with the bearer or. Oh, okay. You spot a unit basically, and you have to reveal like if there's any fanatics, all magic items. Typically, the way I play and people I play with, we record everything, so we openly explain all magic items. I often forget. Most people play where you don't know the magic items of your opponent's character, and fanatics are pretty obvious, I think. But it's 5 points. Okay, we're getting into some. There's 2 items left. We got some banners. Let's talk about the Dragonhide banner first. It's 50 points. Mauls with the Dragonhide banner can reroll all to hit, to wound, and saving throws of 1. In a turn, they make a successful charge. Solid banner for 50 points. I see it very commonly on Mournfang. In addition, the bearer of the banner can unleash an Icy Blast. This is a Strength 3 breath weapon. A unit hit by the Icy Blast has the Always Strikes Last special roll until the end of its next turn. That's 2 rounds of combat you're handing. If you charge in, you use it. Hopefully, you're using this. When do you do this? The bearer of the unit. So, like, it's going to be initiative 2. That's why it has to be for the next turn. Let's check the initiative. Initiative 2 on Mournfang, right? Or on the initiative 2 for Ogre. See, you release it on your initiative, and then the next phase they're gonna have Always Strikes Last. But either way, rerolling all to hit, 2 wound, and saving throws of 1 on Mournfang. It doesn't have to be on Mournfang. It is really good for them. The turn they charge, like they have a 2-up save, rerolling 1s. They're gonna wound most things on 2s, rerolling 1s. They're hitting on things on 4s. Rerolling 1s is really gonna help. Great Hard banner, solid banner. Rune Maw must be on a BSB because it's 60 points. When a spell targeting a unit with a Rune Maw is successfully cast, roll a d6. On a roll of 2+, the caster must choose a new target for the spell. If no other target is available because there's nothing in range, blah blah blah, the spell is wasted. But it still counts as being cast. Spells do not specifically target the unit, not affect Rune Maw. Okay, so this is another one of those like. You Death Star, put all your points in 1 unit. You have the Rune Maw, so you can't kill them with magic because you need magic to deal with these types of units. 8th edition introduces Steadfast and Horde and all this nonsense. And then the crazy overpowered magic because you put too many points in 1 unit. Dwellers Below kills the entire unit. Like there's a bunch of things that just completely neuter a unit. Anything like initiative test, save or die. Like death spells, love just like Purple Sun destroys ogres. I think even 2 items that just like, you know what, we're still gonna Death Star. We have the Hellheart, we have the Rune Maw. The Hellheart, fantastic. The Rune Maw, fan-freaking... You just can't target them with spells. Now, unfortunately, the Rune Maw is not going to protect you from, like, the Purple Sun. Because Purple Sun doesn't target anything. You place it and you send it out. But, I mean, that's where the Hellheart, hopefully, by the time you're close enough to get hit reliably by the Purple Sun, the Hellheart to shut down that magic phase. And you charge them next turn in 1. Short of that, like Death, Saver, like Laura Shadows, Pendulum, Pit of Shades, Purple Sun. These spells are hard counters to open. That's why you want the Rune Maw on your Death Star, and you want the Hellheart to give you 1 extra turn. It's I said it goes from here to here, and they don't play here. So the Hellhearts will feel bad, the Rune Maws will feel bad. We don't use them in our bat reps for obvious reasons. They are feel bad. Well, like one day we'll do, like, I surely, eventually Mini Wargaming or my channel will just host a tournament where we get a bunch of fantasy players to come. That's happening for sure. And I would absolutely expect Josh to bring the Rune Maw and the Hellheart. For sure. Oh, actually, no, that being said, no. We would use one of the tournament comps, which will disallow him using both of those for sure. I think every tournament, every one of the comps that I remember, had these be one or the other, or the Hellheart couldn't even be brought at all. Doesn't matter. That's a whole separate discussion. So yeah, this book allows you to be that guy, but it also doesn't really encourage you to not be that. Like I said, this army, this plays up so well that it's unfun to play against if you play up. But it struggles to play down because it, whatever. You know what? Fantastic models. If you want to get into ogres, you can still buy all the models right now. I think all of them. Great book, really powerful. Just be careful. If you've got a new group of fantasy, if you're watching these videos, you're just getting into fantasy, and like somebody's getting into orcs and goblins, and one of your buddies is getting into whatever, and you're the guy gets into ogres, just remember, like, this can be very unfun to play against. You gotta work hard to make good games with this book. But if you're going to a tournament, expect to see ogres there, but expect to see high elves there. Expect to see dark elves there. There's a lot of really strong tournament builds for a bunch of armies. And I play high elves, so I can't call this book. It just has broken builds, but our books do. Either way, there you go. There's Ogre Kingdoms. One of the greatest model lines. You can still get into Ogre Kingdoms and do it if you want to. Just be nice. And, there you go. Stay tuned for more. I'm probably gonna put up another one of these videos this week. I want to get these all out there. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you disagree with anything I say, be polite. But I'm willing to hear. I never really played ogres. I played against them. I'm willing to hear your opinions, and if I need to update anything, I will. Share your opinions. Thanks for watching, everybody. We're gaming.